She looked my children in the eyes. At the Thanksgiving dinner table, in front of everyone, and she said it. You know, she's not your real mother. My 7-year-old dropped her fork. My 9-year-old looked at me like I was a stranger. And my mother-in-law? She just picked up her wine glass and smiled. This is the story of the day one woman tried to burn my family to the ground and called it honesty. My name is Sarah, and I need you to understand something before we go any further. I have been those kids' mother since they were babies. My husband, Daniel, had the twins, Lily and Noah, from a previous relationship. Their biological mother, Renee, walked out when they were 8 months old. She didn't leave a note, she didn't call, she just left. Daniel was devastated. He was a 26-year-old single dad with 2 infants and a broken heart. I met him 2 years later. I wasn't looking for love. I definitely wasn't looking to raise someone else's children. But Lily grabbed my finger at our 3rd date, and Noah fell asleep on my shoulder at our 4th. And that was it. My heart was gone. Daniel and I got married when the twins were 3. I legally adopted them at 4. Legally, officially, completely. I have been their mother for 6 years. 6 years of school pickups, 6 years of nightmares and fevers and first lost teeth. I coached Lily's soccer team. I stayed up until 2 a.m. building Noah's science fair volcano. I am their mother in every way that matters. Now, let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is Daniel's mother, and from day one, she never let me forget where I came from. She called me the replacement to her friends, thinking I couldn't hear. She kept a photo of Renee, the woman who abandoned her grandchildren, on her mantle. She told Daniel once that the kids deserved to know their real family. Daniel always shut it down, always defended me, but none of us knew what Margaret was planning for Thanksgiving. The week before Thanksgiving, something felt off. Margaret called Daniel 3 times in 2 days, alone, private conversations. When I asked Daniel what they talked about, he said, "Just family stuff." That should have been my warning. Thanksgiving morning, Margaret arrived early. She brought her famous sweet potato casserole. She hugged the kids too long. She kept looking at me with this expression I couldn't read. Was it guilt? Pity? Satisfaction? Dinner started beautifully. The table was full. The food was perfect. The kids were laughing. Noah was telling everyone about his new favorite dinosaur. Lily was showing off the bracelet I'd made her. It felt like a real family Thanksgiving. And then Margaret put down her fork. She cleared her throat, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "I've been thinking," she said. "The children are old enough now." Daniel looked up. "Old enough for what, Mom?" She didn't look at Daniel. She looked directly at Lily and Noah. Old enough to know the truth about their family. My stomach turned to ice. Daniel said, "Mom, don't." But Margaret had already decided. This was her moment. She smiled at the kids, this soft, grandmotherly smile, and she said, "You have another mother, you know, a real mother. Her name is Renee, and she loves you very much." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Lily's fork hit the plate. Noah's eyes went wide. And then Lily looked at me, her little face so confused, so scared, and she whispered, "Mommy, is that true? Are you not our real mom?" I couldn't breathe. 6 years, 6 years of everything I gave them, and in 30 seconds, Margaret had turned me into a stranger at my own dinner table. Here's what nobody at that table knew yet. Here's the part that changes everything. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Renee had contacted Daniel after 7 years of silence. She'd seen the kids' photos online through a mutual friend, and she wanted back in. She wasn't sick, she wasn't desperate. She had simply decided she wanted a relationship now. And Margaret? Margaret had been talking to Renee behind our backs for months. She had been sending her photos of the kids, giving her updates. Daniel didn't know, I didn't know. Margaret had built an entire secret relationship with the woman who abandoned her grandchildren. And her plan, the plan she'd been building for months, was to use Thanksgiving dinner to introduce the idea to the children, without asking Daniel, without asking me, without any professional guidance. She was going to rewrite my children's understanding of their family over turkey and stuffing because she had decided it was time. But here's the twist inside the twist. When Daniel confronted his mother after I took the kids upstairs, Margaret said something that revealed everything. She said, "Renee is their blood. Sarah is just paperwork." Just paperwork? The adoption? The legal documents? The 6 years of my life? Paperwork? Daniel told me later he saw red. He said he didn't even recognize his own mother in that moment. But there was one more thing, one detail that made this 1,000 times worse. Renee had asked Margaret to arrange a visit, a Christmas visit, with the kids, and Margaret had already said yes, without telling anyone. She had already made plans for my children, plans that involved the woman who walked away from them, and she did it all behind our backs, behind Daniel's back. This wasn't a grandmother sharing hard truths. This was a woman dismantling a family on purpose. Daniel came upstairs after 20 minutes. I was sitting on Noah's bed. Both kids were curled up beside me. Lily was still crying. He stood in the doorway and looked at us, really looked at us, and I saw something shift in his face. He sat down on the floor in front of us, and he said, "Lily, Noah, look at me." They did. "Do you know what a real mom is?" Noah shook his head slowly. Daniel said, "A real mom is the person who shows up every single day, no matter what, who loves you even when it's hard." He pointed at me. "That is your real mom. That has always been your real mom. And nothing anyone says changes that." Lily crawled off the bed and hugged him. Noah followed. I was trying so hard not to fall apart. Then Daniel looked at me over their heads and said, "I'm sorry. I should have protected you better." Downstairs, Margaret was waiting. Daniel went back down. I stayed with the kids. I could hear the conversation through the floor. Not the words, just the tone. Daniel's voice, low, controlled, devastated. Margaret's voice, defensive, then loud, then quiet. Then the front door closed. Margaret didn't say goodbye to the kids. She just left. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, Daniel came to me with his phone. He had texted Renee. The message was simple. "Do not contact my family. If you want a relationship with my children someday, that conversation goes through me and Sarah, not my mother, not behind our backs. Never again." He showed it to me. Then he called his mother. He told her she was not welcome in our home until she apologized, to me, to him, and to the children. She hasn't apologized yet. It's been 3 weeks. So, here we are. Let's break this down. The case for Margaret. Some people believe children have a right to know their biological origins. That's a real and valid conversation. And maybe her intentions came from love, misguided, destructive love, but love. Perhaps she genuinely believed the children deserved to know about Renee. The case against Margaret. She went behind her own son's back. She coordinated with a woman who abandoned 2 infants. She chose a holiday dinner surrounded by family as the moment to drop this on two young children. She made no attempt to involve a therapist or counselor. She called a legal adoption paperwork, and she had already arranged a Christmas visit without anyone's consent. This wasn't about the children's well-being. This was about Margaret's agenda. Here's the real question, though. Was there ever a right way to handle this? Should the kids have been told about Renee someday? Probably yes, on the parents' terms, at the right time, with the right support. But that's not what happened. What happened was one woman decided she had the right to rewrite two children's reality, and she chose Thanksgiving to do it. Now you tell me, was Margaret wrong? Was Daniel right to cut her off? And what would you have done in Sarah's seat at that table? Drop your verdict in the comments right now. I genuinely want to know.
Sarah and Daniel are still together. The kids are in therapy now and doing better than you'd think kids could be. Renee has not made contact again, and Margaret is still waiting to be invited back in. Whether that invitation ever comes, that's a story still being written. If this hit you somewhere deep, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most dangerous people at the table are the ones who came bearing casserole. If you're new here, welcome to Confession Verdict. We cover the stories people are too afraid to say out loud. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. And if you have a story, a confession, a secret, a verdict you need the world to weigh in on, drop it in the comments or send it to us. Every story deserves to be heard. I'll see you in the next one.